and welcome. You're watching Head to Head. I'm Antonina Antosha with UATV. Russia has closed off 5 regions of the Black Sea, that is more than a quarter of its total area, for 25 days under the pretext of military training. These regions include international shipping routes to Bulgaria, Georgia, Romania, and Ukraine. In effect, Russia is blocking maritime traffic to these countries. To discuss the situation, we're joined in the studio today by retired Major General Volodymyr Havrylov, former Defence Attache of Ukraine in the US, Great Britain, and Romania. Hello, and thank you for coming.
Hello, thank you for inviting me.
So, among the official reasons that Russia has voiced for blocking these territories are combat training and danger to navigation. In response, Ukrainian military portal reported, and I quote here, "We should consider these actions as another act of hybrid aggression at sea, now not only against Ukraine, but also other countries of the Black Sea region." What's your stance on this?
First of all, there are certain international arrangements about that kind of activities. We have United Nations Law of Sea Convention from 1982, which very clearly describes any kind of military exercises. The problem of the Black Sea is that it's enclosed sea, so-called. But of course, it's also open to the same requirement of this convention. And any state which surrounding the sea can exercise the military, navy, according to certain rules. Of course, they have to send in so-called notices about the danger to come into certain areas in advance, just to inform other states and other ships that those areas are should be considered as dangerous but not closed. And because Russia is a member of this convention, and convention is about the freedom of navigation. Right. So any state can close the area. They can only announce it as an area of exercise. So if you wish to pass it, of course you can do it, but
But you do it at your own
Yes, at your own risk.
Right.
And in this situation, maybe more anomaly we can see in this is a square of the exercise. So it's 5 areas. All of them together, as it was mentioned, is just a huge part of the Black Sea. At the same time, it's not about to close the navigation in the sea. It's obligation of Russia to follow the requirement of the convention and to provide security for all ships in the area, including the exercise.
In your personal opinion, is this act, is this a stage of preparation for something bigger, or is it just muscle flexing?
It's muscle flexing. It's just a demonstration of the heavy Russian presence in the area. And they would like to remind other states, first of all, NATO states, as Romania, Bulgaria, first of all, that there is a so-called host nation here in this area. And so any kind of extra activities should be coordinated with Russia, first of all. It's just to remind others. We have to keep in mind that not all states surrounding the Black Sea are members of the International Convention on the Law of Sea. For example, Turkey, they are not a member. And Russia uses that situation just to manipulate the other nations in this regard, and to use so-called gaps, legal gaps, in exclusive economic zone and high seas in the region, just to keep others a little bit under tension, and to use that instrument, this leverage as a tension. They see that any attempts to do something in the area should be coordinated with Russia or to be asked Moscow to do so. But we have to keep in mind that Russia is not the Soviet Union. They don't have the same force, the same potential and capability to keep that kind of activity as the Soviet Union had before. So it's more about a demonstration of virtual force. So they don't have a physical force to do all that kind, but they have to pretend to be strong and to scare others about the expected capability.
Well, see, acting like that, demonstrating such negligence towards other countries, whether they are NATO member states or not, that, in my opinion, that sends a message to the international community that Russia actually owns the waters of Black Sea, whereas in fact it's not true. So how should Ukraine behave in this situation to provide the international community with the fair information about the Black waters?
First of all, European Union as a next international organization next to the Black Sea is very aware of what is going on in the area. They have initiative just how to strengthen their capabilities of monitoring of the situation in the Black Sea. They know about all those Russians arrangements there. Ukraine should work very close with the European Union, first of all, and NATO countries in terms of sharing of information about that, sharing information about the actual purposes or aims of the Russia in the area. The problem of Russia is they have a territory which they declare as their own, but this annexation of Crimea is illegal territory, and so for them it's not easy to defend or to protect the movements in the Black Sea with that kind of bargain under their back.
Right. Well, now that we have a new president and are about to have new Verkhovna Rada in the parliament, maybe our new top officials should do something in order to strive even for more support from our international partners.
Our leadership has to understand, first of all, the scope of the problems we have in the Black Sea after the annexation of Crimea. Yeah. There are many details which are not quite known to the new leadership, so it's a matter of time for them to understand it. At the same time, we have a lot of leverages and methods how to tackle Russia in this area. And first of all, we have to do our job with our Navy. We have to work with the NATO countries in terms of using their presence in Black Sea. We have to be active in terms of escorting our commercial fleet, for example, in this area, and to show the force, sometimes together with NATO countries. We have to hold exercises with our partners in the area on a regular basis, maybe not even 2 or maybe 4, 5 times per year on tactical level, just as a presence of force. Russia reacted very nervously to the last exercise we had in Odessa area with our partners. They sent the ships there trying to monitor it, and they also organized the exercise in parallel with that, small one. Now, by the way, we have to keep in mind that they are also starting this next week the exercise in Baltic Sea on the huge scale, similar to what they're going to do in Black Sea. So we have to strengthen our Navy, we have to strengthen our cooperation with the European Union and NATO, and we have to expand our force presence in the area in terms of readiness to support our commercial fleet and our country's fleet in this area in case of something.
Yeah, I guess it's also really important to take care of the safety of the fleet personnel, meaning the sailors. And here I refer to the accident that happened last November in the Kerch Strait, and now 24 Ukrainian sailors are being held behind bars on false accusations. And there is some development in this story because a court in Odessa and Ukrainian Navy have seized a ship that Russia used to block 3 Ukrainian vessels, and it's already known that the name of the ship has been changed after the incident. The incident actually occurred. Does this mean that Russia is trying to cover up the facts of the crime that it actually committed? Because this is a crime.
And Russia clearly understand that all the activities in Crimea and surrounding Crimea areas are illegal. They can't openly admit it, but they understand that they have to do something to cover the next steps there and to justify the previous steps. That's why they changed the name of the ship. They really understood that this ship could be illegal in other waters, not only in Ukraine, but in other countries, because Ukraine can ask other partners to just arrest that ship. So they changed the name. They did it quickly. They did it not quite professionally, because it was...
I assume it's not that easy to just change the name of a naval vessel.
Well, of course, because we have a limited number of ships, we have a register, we have open information about that. So it was not a problem to follow the history of the ship. Inevitably, the new owners, it was maybe a little bit surprising that the new owners of the ship, they didn't know the history of the ship. It's a bit strange. But it's also one more argument that security services in Russia, they were quite nervous and quite quick trying to just cover the illegal activities in Kerch Strait. And that's good for Ukraine, because it's strengthening our position in international courts and panels.
Well, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you for taking me.
That was retired Major General Volodymyr Havrylov. He's a former Defence Attache of Ukraine in the US, Great Britain and Romania. Thank you so much for watching Head to Head. Stay tuned with UATV for the rest.